Hello class, this is part 2, chapter 25, part 2, and in this video we will look at the 6 required elements to have in order to have a negotiable instrument. Alright, let's start. Of the 6 elements, the first one is you must have a written form. A negotiable instrument has to be fairly permanent and portable. So we generally look for a writing, all right, on a piece of paper because that's portable. And usually the examples I give my class just to give you some contrast would be that you would not find a negotiable instrument written on a big boulder because that's not portable, or on a wall, all right, because you can't pick that up and carry that with you, all right. So you want it in written form. Second element you look for in order to have a negotiable instrument would be a signature. You must have a signature of the obligated party. So the instruments we've been looking at, promissory note, you must have the maker's signature, and if you have a draft, you need the drawer's signature. All right. So signature is a very broad concept under the UCC. It can be someone's full signature. It could be a scribble, and you probably have seen a variety of signatures out there. It can be a symbol that someone affixes as their signature to any document. That counts as well under the UCC. This signature can be made manually, so by hand, can be made by device, some kind of a writing machine. Maybe you've seen the checks that the Internal Revenue Service issues for refunds, right? Those are machine signed, all right? Some companies may use a rubber stamp of some sort as a signature. All right? They are okay under the UCC. Later on, we may talk more about endorsement. Well, we're going to talk about endorsements. And so, there was a time when many people may not have been able to write, not educated well enough. And so an X counts as a signature. Even a thumbprint will be okay. Right? So it's a very broad idea, the idea of signature. Where the signature is placed really is not much concern. It's very broad, the idea. It does not have to be at the bottom of a document or even on the back of a document, all right? So signature, almost anything would be acceptable, all right? Now here's your third element. Your third element is unconditional promise or order to pay. So look for some direct and unambiguous promise. You want to see language that says, I will pay you. I will pay, all right? That's in contrast to an acknowledgement where someone just says, I owe you money, all right? That's not acceptable to us in order to establish negotiability. If someone just says, oh yeah, I owe you money, you need someone to actually say, I promise to pay, all right? All right, now, an order instrument will not have that type of language, all right? It's going to direct probably an institution like a bank to make a payment on behalf of the drawer, all right? Now, when someone says, I make an unconditional promise, that means they are not putting any kind of qualifications on the payment. All right, it's not, and part of the qualification might be this is going to be subject to some other agreement we have made. If that language is included, that this promise to pay is subject to something else, you will not be able to call that a negotiable instrument. That will affect the negotiability. All right, you are allowed to refer, okay? You are allowed to give context as to why you're making this promise to pay, but you cannot say that your promise to pay is qualified by something else. All right, so look for this unconditional promise or order to pay. All right, I think I've just kind of talked through some of this already, how you can refer to other agreements. state that the payments will come from a certain source, from my salary, from my inheritance, something along those lines. State that the instrument that you've just signed is secured with a pledge, maybe a mortgage, some property as collateral. All right, you just cannot incorporate the terms, though, from these external documents. All right, number 4. Fourth element is a fixed amount of money. And on here, for this element, just remember that we think very broadly. Again, any type of currency will qualify as a fixed amount of money. So as long as there is a country that uses this currency, so lira, pounds, euros, any of that can be used as the currency for a negotiable instrument, and it will be acceptable. All right. However, if the payment on the instrument will not be in currency, and that includes valuable items like gold or diamonds or even Bitcoin for now, okay? That's not a currency, at least not yet. All right, and that will not qualify your instrument to be negotiable. All right, fixed amount of money. We need to talk about interest. The interest rate has to be ascertainable. It does not necessarily have to be stated like 5% or 2% on the instrument. As long as the interest rate can be determined by looking at a statute or some index that is fairly easy to obtain, prime rate of interest, prime plus 2, as of the date of the execution of the instrument, you will be fine. All right, the interest rate will be fine. All right, I put up here legal rate of interest because that's a reference to the statutes. All right, and in California, the legal rate of interest is 10%. All right, the interest rate can vary. When I bought my first condo, interest rates were kind of high at the time, and I had to take a loan that had a variable rate of interest on it. So I think it was every 6 months, the bank would adjust the interest rate on my loan until I was able to refinance. That is perfectly acceptable, though. The promissory note I signed with that variable rate of interest would still be negotiable. All right, let's look at number 5. All right, number 5, the fifth element that's needed in order to have a negotiable instrument is that the instrument be payable on demand or at a definite time. All right, an instrument that's payable on demand means whenever the lender asks to be paid. There is no set date. All right. We have a case in point that we're going to take a quick look at just so you can see what that might look like or sound like. This is case in point 2513, Rieger Development. Let me go out there to your textbook and put it up here on the screen. Let me see. I'm at the back of the chapter. Let's see if I can go forward quickly enough. Yeah, probably this is the best way to do this. Excuse me. All right, here we go. Example, case in point 2513. National City Bank gave Rieger Development LLC a line of credit to finance potential development opportunities. Rieger signed a promissory note requiring it to pay this loan in full immediately upon lender's demand. About a year later, the bank asked Rieger to pay down the loan and stated that it would be reducing the amount of cash available through the line of credit. Rieger sued, alleging that the bank had breached the terms of the note. The court ruled in the bank's favor. The promissory note was a demand instrument because it explicitly set forth the lender's right to demand payment at any time. Thus, National City had the right to collect payment from Rieger at any time on demand. This is perfectly acceptable. The instrument is negotiable. All right, switch back out to my PowerPoint. Here we are. Change the slide. All right, continuing to talk about being payable on demand or at a definite time. Let's take a look at what kind of effect will an acceleration clause or an extension clause have on a negotiable instrument. Well, acceleration clause. First of all, do you know what that is? An acceleration clause is where the lender has the right to speed up the payments. All right, this right will usually kick in due to a default by the borrower. All right, so if you are the borrower and you make your payments pretty steadily every month, but you miss one, all right, under the terms, if it's been included, if an acceleration clause has been included, that may mean that the lender may call the entire note due upon the default. That's an acceleration clause. All right, extension clause is when the lender has the ability, generally it's the lender, okay, who has the ability to extend the payments, to let them go on longer, to let the note go past the date originally agreed upon for repayment. All right, the thing to remember about an extension clause, and I have it on the next slide for you, is that the party with the right to add more time for repayment has to follow a couple of rules here, all right? So if that party is the maker, meaning the borrower, right? If it's the maker, that right to extend the time to pay has to be for a specific period of time. 6 months, 1 year. It has to have some end when the payments will be due, when the payment will be due. All right, it cannot be an open-ended repayment plan. All right, otherwise the extension clause will fail. If the holder is the person with the right to extend, so that's the lender, the holder, right, the payee on the instrument, then we don't worry so much about that, because if the payee doesn't want to get paid, doesn't mind to extend the time, continue to extend the time, there's no specific end date, it will be okay. It will pass muster and it will still be negotiable. All right. The clause, the extension clause, does not have to identify an end date. All right. All right. And we're moving into our last element now. This is our sixth element for negotiability. The instrument must be payable to order or to bearer. All right. For it to be payable to order means that the party to whom it's to be paid is specified. We know exactly who the payment is due. If the instrument does not name a party to whom the payments are due, then we will call it a bearer instrument. It will be payable to whomever is in possession of the instrument. All right. And either way, it does not affect the negotiability of the instrument. Right? So you might see payable to the order with a name, or you might see it payable to bearer. Either way, you have a negotiable instrument. All right. Have a few examples to look at with you just to apply some of what I have just talked about. So quickly, let's take a look at case in point 2519. This is a case of Las Vegas Sands. And in this case, the court was asked to determine whether a gambling marker was negotiable. All right, let me go out to your textbook. Sorry, class, I hit the wrong button there. All right, here we go. All right, back into your textbook. It should be close to this section. Here it is. Here we go. All right, Amine Neme applied for credit at the Venetian Resort Hotel Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, and was granted $500,000 in credit. He signed a gambling marker, that is, a promise to pay a gambling debt for $500,000. Neme quickly lost that amount gambling. The Venetian presented the marker for payment to Neme's bank, Bank of America, which returned it for insufficient funds. The casino's owner, Las Vegas Sands LLC, filed a suit against Neme for failure to pay a negotiable instrument. The court held that the marker fit the UCC's definitions of negotiable instrument and check. It was a means for payment of $500,000 from Bank of America to the Order of Venetian. It did not state a time for payment, and thus, what do we have then? We have an instrument payable on demand. It was also unconditional, that is, it stated no promise by NEMA other than the promise to pay a fixed amount of money. Therefore, the conclusion was that the marker was a negotiable instrument and the Venetian was entitled to enforce it. All right, so just an example of, and you could read more about this case if you wanted, but the summary is in your textbook. And I want to go out and take a look at a couple other examples. One of them is in the reviewing problem. Oops, here we go. This is it. And we'll just take a look at the first two questions connected with the reviewing problem. Again, illustration just to help you understand these 6 required elements for a negotiable instrument. So in the reviewing problem, we have Robert Durbin, a student, borrowed funds from a bank for his education and signed a promissory note for their repayment. The bank lent the funds under a federal program designed to assist students at post-secondary institutions. Under this program, repayment ordinarily begins 9 to 12 months after the student borrower fails to carry at least 1/2 of the normal full-time course load at his or her school. The federal government guarantees that the note will be fully repaid. If the student defaults on the repayment, the lender presents the current balance, principal, interest, and costs to the government. When the government pays the balance, it becomes the lender and the borrower owes the government directly. Durbin defaulted on his note, and the government paid the lender the balance due and took possession of the note. Durbin then refused to pay the government, claiming that the government was not the holder of the note. The government filed a suit in a federal district court against Durbin to collect the amount due. All right, we're going to use the information, try to answer the first 2 questions here. Number 1, using the categories discussed in the chapter, what type of negotiable instrument was the note that Durbin signed? What basically, is it an order to pay or a promise to pay? All right, they already told you it's a note. It's a promissory note. So is it an order to pay or a promise to pay? Promissory notes are promises to pay. All right, going on to number 2. Suppose that the note did not state a specific interest rate, but instead referred to a statute that established the maximum interest rate for government guaranteed school loans. Would the note fail to meet the requirements for negotiability in that situation, and why or why not? All right, so which element are we interested in here to answer this question? We are interested in the 4th element. That 4th element is a fixed amount of money, all right? And we are interested in whether or not the interest rate has to be specified, or can it refer to a statute? And we did talk about this. It is perfectly acceptable for the negotiable instrument to refer to a statute for the specific interest rate. That's not going to be a problem, and it will not affect the negotiability. All right, and one last problem I want to look at before I end this part 2 video. I want to look at this issue spotter. Issue spotter number 1, right? All right, so in issue spotter number 1, Sasha owes $600 to Dale, who asked her to sign an instrument for the debt. Consider each of the following alternatives for the wording on that instrument. So here are your choices. Letter A, I owe you $600. Letter B, I promise to pay $600. And then letter C, instruction to Sasha's bank stating, I wish you would pay $600 to Dale. Right? Which of these phrases would prevent the instrument's negotiability and why? All right, so what did we learn? We learned that there has to be an unconditional promise or order to pay. All right, so looking at these 3 examples, what is the strongest language of the 3? Letter B, right? That's the most direct, unconditional statement. It's a promise to pay. That's the type of language you must see in a negotiable instrument. When you look at letter A, you see an acknowledgement of the $600 that's owed. And when you look at letter C, it's just not strong enough. It's saying, I wish you would do this. It's not directing the bank to make the payment to Dale. That's the problem with letter C. All right, well, I hope these examples helped you to understand the 6 different elements that are required for a negotiable instrument. We have a little bit more of the chapter to look at, which I'll do in chapter 25, part 3. And I have already created a video regarding one of these business scenario problems. I will probably make another video for a second problem. All right. I think it's really helpful for you in learning these requirements for a negotiable instrument to look at a lot of samples, a lot of different types of instruments, and make sure you can understand why one instrument is negotiable and another is not. So I'll be closing out this video, and I'll see you in part 3.